Hello, Magic
Hello.
players. Welcome. Hockey,
Welcome
what's going on, man?
to not a lot, man. We they had to bring the dream team together for commentary.
Can't win matches, but I can talk about Magic. So that's what I'm good for these days, and I
The
accept.
tournament's
I
not going
accept.
well.
No, my deck and I are having a little bit of a marital spout, so it's okay. That
That's
happens.
too bad.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes you get to
That's too bad.
play powerful cards and it all works out. Other times you get to play powerful cards and not see them. They're just somewhere in your deck. So
Yeah, yeah. I
say la
mean,
vie.
you should only put good cards in your deck, and then you don't have that problem.
My problem. I think I put a few too many of
Yeah,
the
it's
bad
it's
cards in there.
impossible to just draw too many lands or not enough lands if you do that. It'll just
Dang,
work out.
you know, I wise words from the three times RTS champ. So
Yes, I am the basketball himself, Brian Hockey, 3-time Grandmaster of the Stones Invitational champion, who might not even qualify this year because I moved away and can only do it through middle school events.
I mean, you could do it through vintage events. That's just going to be a very expensive,
Yeah.
first beer that you drink at the event. So
It is real, like, the idea of just, like, parachuting into Austin, winning the tournament, and leaving immediately is very funny to me,
I mean,
but it would be miserable. It's one of those, let's not say we did.
good friend Mike did it. Flew in, won the event, and then just hightailed it out of there.
Yeah,
So it's
Mike's a
possible.
mad
I'm just
lad, though.
saying.
He's always been a mad lad.
That is true.
I'm
I'm just
I'm
saying this
not so
doesn't sound like
much.
champion mindset hockey. Um,
Well, no, I only need
but
1, right? So, I'll just win this one. We're undefeated. We we have a loss, but we're undefeated.
okay,
Yeah,
okay.
we didn't,
Called
we
shot. You
didn't
heard it
get
here,
get to
folks.
play that week, and it was my fault, so
Yeah. Um, well,
alright, here we go.
while we're here strategizing hockey's victory, yeah, our players are off. We've got some amazing decks this week. Not just like one, not just one game.
Yeah.
This week it's bangers,
So
strictly
what's this
bangers.
one? What are these?
So I don't know if I like being put on the spot that I have to call these. I'm going to take the easy one and let everyone know that on the right we have Greg, who is playing a little bit of an Alluren deck,
It's not a
which
little bit
I
of
don't know. You,
Alluren. It's pretty all in on Alluren. He's
I don't know.
yeah, this mana base doesn't hurt
You're
him at all.
quite
No,
familiar with the Alluren.
it's what's so interesting about this matchup is like Greg's deploying this Waller Roots right now, and David's plan is to play a Black Vice and then play a bunch of cards that say target player can't play lands this turn and kill his opponent that way. He also has 4 Howling Mine. He's got Anvil of Bogarden. So I think we're gonna see that card this turn, and they do draw a card for you afterwards.
It's incredible. There are cards in here that I'm not gonna lie, I had to look up because I was
Yeah.
like, oh, maybe I just the deck list that I got is too small and I can't read the card. And I was like, no, that's just a card. I don't know what it is. So
So it's
um,
Sulfatara and Turf Wound. They cost Stone Rain. They're like a Stone Rain, but they don't lose the land, and you get to draw a card. And the main issue,
I mean,
or rather, like the main reason you might have heard of these cards is they are all stars in Mental Magic. Like that's like one of the best things you can do in Mental Magic is play that. There it is.
oh, we're
Here's a
getting the
Black
vice
Vice.
out there. We're letting our opponent know what the game plan is here. We're gonna black vice you,
And here
and
we go.
you're
You
also
don't
not
get to
gonna be
play
able to play
lands.
lands. Yep.
You don't get to play
I mean, I
lands. I'll
will
draw a
say at least we
card.
have you know, Red just clearly always getting all the most powerful things here. Drawing cards, unstoppable.
I mean, it's so he's
I will
got
say, I
stasis
mean,
in his deck, and he has none of the lands that return your hand or that untap. He's just playing stasis the fairway, which is
which
fantastic.
I mean, has that ever been said before? Playing Stasis the fairway, but I do love to see that, right? I love seeing stuff like this where it's like, okay, I'm gonna do something that pieces of this, right? You'll probably recognize Stasis Black Vices, kind of the some of
Yeah,
the added draw engine through Howling Minds and stuff like that. But then yeah, like boomerangs, all these sorts of things. Like I'm gonna play some things that fire and ice, right? If my opponent opens island, mountain, fire and ice, I'm like, okay, we're playing against like a blue red control deck. Mm, kinda, not really, you know.
yeah. The
Um,
boomerangs, the wall roots
and we're
here.
doing some.
Like this does seem like a nightmare matchup for David because again, Greg has 4 birds, 4 wall roots, and he's this combo deck. Like if he ever makes 4 mana, you're dead, especially if you're like playing Howling Mine and stuff.
Yeah, I
So it
mean, I
seems about
was,
as bad as possible.
it's not
But
good.
good.
I mean, I was gonna say,
Yeah.
like, I was worried if I was David, if I have a sense of what's going on when, yes, my opponent can't play lands, but they had 2 Wall of Roots and 2 lands. Like, that's if
There's the
if I
stasis
pass
right
the
there.
turn, yeah, if they pass the turn or I pass the turn, they may just kill me. Um, so yeah, we're gonna rebuild our mana base and just say, okay, well, you don't have a lot going on in your hand. I'm gonna just kind of get my mana out, developing my mana while I can, and let's see how this goes. I mean,
It's
it look,
also interesting to see here is like Greg's mana base in his Alluren deck is wildly different than my mana base. And we're seeing like the reason mine is constructed the way it is right now is he's lava axed himself already with
yeah,
his lands. And I think in middle
yeah.
school, if you're playing more than 2 colors, and you have to figure out a way to not take 5 damage from your lands every game.
Oh, I mean, you just instantly give your opponent a win condition. When I've played like full English breakfast and stuff like that, and I'm playing, like it's like 3, 4 color some cases. I mean, your gemstone mines are only going to get you so far, right?
Another wall,
Um,
taking
uh,
what, 1 damage, 2 damage from, no, not even two, 1 damage from Black Place. And we've got
yeah,
all
I,
the mana we could ask for.
all the mana we could ask for. We've got Mesmeric Fiend, which I mean, it at least took that stasis for the time being. We're probably assuming it, if needed. Um, that
And there's
the
the
David
mine.
can probably get it back when they're ready. Yeah, I mean, so now we're kind of getting set up, and like this is the thing. Like, there's David's not under any other than just like his opponent untapping and winning. You know, he's maybe thinking, okay, I've got a little bit of time here, but
I
like I
mean, he
say, I
can't
don't
not
love
cast
knowing that
it,
I've got
right? Like, you can't
no
just
right.
like
You got to do something.
choose to lose the game in the hopes that it'll stop your opponent from winning the game. There we go. We're getting another
Snagging another
stasis off
stasis
Mesmeric
here.
Fiend.
Yeah,
The Fiends are
I
great. I,
mean,
I expected them to be kind of bad in Alluren, but they are surprisingly, they don't die as often as you might think.
and I mean, they're just like I personally, I mean, better than either of us in a learn. They're just kind of bonkers on the your combo turn and everything.
Yeah, yeah, like taking your opponent's entire hand. Like that's their I would always play one
Mhm.
for that purpose. But the reason it's good is just because it makes Cabal Therapy better. Like Cabal Therapy is the best card in middle school. I
Yeah,
don't think it's particularly close.
so great. There's so much value to be had
You can
too.
make an argument for like Bird. Yeah, this game seems over to me. I don't see how David could possibly like his deck isn't really built to come back.
Right.
Uh,
He needs to
he
get way
has
ahead.
his only removal is he's got 3 Fire Ice and 3 Boomerangs. We've already seen 1 Boomerang go. Like Fire Ice is actually pretty decent here. But again, like Greg's got 4 Living Wish. He's got 2 Natural Eyes. This seems pretty rough.
Yeah, and I mean, if I'm Greg, I'm just gonna keep turning my fiends sideways until I need to do something else. I'll just keep drawing extra cards courtesy of this mine. And okay, yeah, now we're gonna
Yeah.
just play a get the monkey. Uh, yeah, I'm not loving this one for David, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, Greg has 3 bounce effects too, including the one that only costs 2 mana. It's like he can pretty rarely get to a position where he can start rebuying this monkey if
Mhm.
he needs to. It's not like it needs to happen quickly.
No, I mean, just if all we do is deprive David of, yeah, and
There it
we
is.
go ahead and scoop, we just deprive him that one extra
Oh, he
card
took
that,
the Howling Mine instead of the Black Vice.
yeah,
That's just
he's
rude.
yeah, he's like, I'm not,
Yeah.
I think I've got this locked up. I'm gonna make sure you just see one fewer card to potentially get you out of this. So, so we're going to the
Wow.
board. Do you want to maybe walk us through the Alluren sideboard? Because I'm assuming we're probably looking at sort of a toolbox sideboard here.
So one of the problems with the Living Wish builds is like the first problem is you have 4 Living Wish in your main deck. I think Living Wish is probably the most playable wish, but it's still like you could just put those cards in your deck. So like a lot of his sideboard is given over to that, and he can't necessarily bring everything in that he wants to bring in because he needs his Living Wishes to be live. That
We're
said,
not a survival
he's
deck. You can
got
just
he's
bring
got
it
the
all
monkey
in and
we've
then
seen. He's got what is it, a Soul Warden, which goes a long way to fighting back some of the life. And then I mean he's got a meddling mage. Like I don't really think he's going to make any changes to his deck. I I could see him springing for the Xantid Swarm, but honestly, I think other than changes I would have made to the list going in, like he's got a Maggot Carrier, I would never play that. I think I would
sure.
just run it back.
Yeah.
Like he's got everything he needs in his deck already.
Yeah, and I mean, either Greg is just like, I know exactly what I'm doing against the miscellaneous stuff that I saw, against Stasis, and just very quickly had a board plan, or probably just shipped it. Um,
Yeah.
I tend to agree. I mentioned full English earlier, where you're playing survival, so you can afford to bring in more stuff because, like you said, on like Living Wish, you're not competing against bringing that stuff in, right?
Yeah, I
You're
think when
actually
you're
giving
building a
yourself
wish board,
access to it.
there's a lot of risk to like I want to cover every scenario, and I just don't think that's right. I think you should have like a uh a thing to kill an artifact, a thing to kill an enchantment, maybe something to kill a creature, and then a gas card, and like that's your Living Wish pile. He doesn't have any lands for his Living Wish, which
Yeah,
I think is a mistake. Like it's just
yeah.
so
I
easy to be
mean,
like, here's a Phyrexian Tower.
there's a lot of options, which I think
Meanwhile,
is what makes these sort of decks like tricky.
on the other side of the table, David doesn't really have anything either. He's got Hydroblast. He's got four Hydro, four Pyro. He's got a couple Goblin Welders that don't really have any text. He's got two Ensnaring Bridge that don't really matter. Fourth Boomerang, two Pyroclasm. Like I think you bring in the Pyroclasms for sure. Like he's got birds, he's got Mesmeric Fiends, but it's not really that big of an upgrade.
I mean, you're probably just kind of happy to take, shave one or two of some of these things that aren't doing just quite as much in the main deck. Like, your opponent has so many mana dorks. Maybe you're not as worried about trying to. You can shave one or two of like the turf wounds or something like that. I mean,
I
I know
think
that's a
I don't
big
think
part
he
of your
can
plan,
because I
but
don't think he has like another way of winning. I think he's got like four Anvil of Bogarden, which is instead of we got like a whole game going on right now. You could actually watch the game. Uh,
yeah,
here's the therapy. It seems to have hit.
yeah.
Uh,
We named Stasis. It looked like
which I think I I don't actually think it's the right name if you know David's deck, but if you don't and you saw two stasis his last game, like you got to name that. I mean, it's starting to execute. Here's a turf wound. You're stuck on one land.
yeah.
The
I mean,
problem is he has to have black fights for it to have any text. You can do this all day. If you don't have a black vice, it doesn't matter. Here we go again.
just
No
gonna
lands for you.
yeah. Well, I mean, and I believe we boomeranged a land uh
Yeah.
early on too, so I can kind of get, if I'm Greg, maybe I'm a little worried that that's maybe signaling that we're going to try to set up just a early stasis lock and just be like, I will probably this will serve me better than it will you early on in the game, right? When you don't have any mana dorks. So
So this is a creature that also has a turf wound effect. He doesn't get to draw a card,
is this Partick
but
Minor?
yeah, I don't know. He's this is the first time it's ever been played in a match that more than two people have seen.
Yep. Well, yeah, so Partick Minor,
I,
one in a red for a 1/1 dwarf, sack it. Target player can't play lands this turn.
like he's executing. He's executing really well. Like the best thing that could happen to him next turn is like find another Howling Mine, find a Black Vice, have another effect. There's an Ancient
Ancient
Tomb.
Tomb. At this point, we got to
Because
be.
he, I mean, like the thing about his deck is he has no way to get back in the game. It has to work. Here's the Anvil, which is hilarious. in the greed and how much damage you want to put on your opponent, because it also removes maximum hand size. You're trying to get your black vice to just like kill them real fast.
We have a plan. I am curious though. I mean, we still have 4 mana available. We did nothing else with it that turn and did nothing in as far as I'm can tell here, we did nothing else in Greg's upkeep either.
Yeah, Greg makes a wall. He's probably got a bird to go with it. No, no
Interesting,
bird.
just
Okay,
that. Okay.
so Greg's still in it in the he's still under David's strategy here, but I don't know. I mean, like obviously he's got a winning record, but I just don't see how. That's
Mhm.
exhaustion. It's like a stasis for a turn, target player. But that's what he discarded to Angelo Bogart, and so he must have something. Like why why would you discard that and play keep a land when you have 6 mana already?
Yeah. I'm okay, so we had another exhaustion. But yeah, I to your
That I
point,
mean
I'm
that makes
curious what
sense
else
if
do
you've
we
already
have in our
got that
hand?
effect. There it
Okay,
is.
there's the vice. Yeah.
There it is. All right. Take
So now we're feeling
three
good. I mean,
damage.
yep. Begins. We got something else. Okay. And we're just
And a
making
turtle.
sure I want you to do nothing this turn. You just sit there, take your damage, and move on with your life.
Draw 3 cards. Discard one. Here. So David could stack his triggers in such a way that he doesn't get the Howling Mind card before he has to discard a card. Uh, who cares? I also don't actually know what phase they happen. Might be like a draw step thing. I don't know. Not sure.
Yeah, we definitely are playing the era of Magic where reading the card does not always explain the card. Um, but
I mean, the cards that are coming out now, you have to read the card. Once you read it 3 times, it might explain the card, and then your opponent plays against you, and you realize it says "win the game" on the end of it.
read the card 3 times, then look up a Wizards webpage reference of explaining 3 of the words that are on there. Yeah, we're
Boomerang your
okay. Yeah,
wall.
I mean, boomerang your wall. We've got double black face out. I would assume we're going to have some sort of um, maybe another
David's going to
exhaustion
7.
effect. Yeah,
There's
exhaustion.
an
He's
exhaustion. All
like,
right,
I
I
don't
think he probably
care.
had both of them before, and that's why he discarded that first one. Uh, it
Yeah.
it's really nice that Greg is a person who has decided that he's going to have a die represent how many cards he has in his hand. I would forget about that 3 turns into the game, but getting to see that he
1000%.
started the turn with 9.
Max entertainment, making sure that everyone knows what's going on. So we've evened it up.
Yeah.
David's deck, like you said, got to do what it wants to do. It got ahead and just like it just stops the game from doing anything. Um, stops your opponent from doing anything early in the game, and then you're just set. And I mean, like we said, it's not like Greg is sitting there with a ton of options. I mean, can't play lands. It's gonna be real hard to cast those naturalizes.
Yeah. I think it would be his deck is like a sort of like a theoretical exercise, or what's it called? Like a
Like a
mental
thought
experiment that
experiment.
physicists do. A thought experiment in what if I was going first? What could I do? And he literally has a line where he's like, "Ancient tomb, Mox diamond, turf wound you. Let's go. We're off to the races."
I mean, hey, sometimes you win die rolls, and you just get to show your opponent your hand and ask if they want to scoop.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. You're gonna go second at least one game a match.
And not necessarily.
You win game one so hard, your opponent just logs off.
Like,
I mean,
forget it.
like if you were
One on
already
one
like not
victory.
sure if you wanted to play Magic that evening, but you had your match and you're tired from work because it's the only time you guys can play, and then like game one, it's turn 4 and you haven't put a single card into play, not
Hey,
even a land.
there
I
is
think I could see that being the 1-0.
there is someone who used to be in Austin, play Romancing the Stones events, And the way I met them was at a legacy night, sat down, shuffle up, and their opponent goes land, suspend, rift bolt. And this player looks at them and goes, "Yeah, I'm not doing this," and picks up their cards and leaves. They didn't want to play against Burn that bad.
Yeah,
So
that's how we met. I was that guy. Uh, no, I
it was
wasn't.
actually
I would
someone
have
else,
I
but
would have
yeah.
won. It's Burn. Um,
Yeah.
like look at Greg's board.
Oh,
Oh, okay, all right. This
well,
is we. Wow,
what board?
like I'll play two
Yeah.
birds. Like
Oh,
your mana denial plan is
but
dead.
it doesn't matter.
Play
We've got
Fire
that
Ice.
Alluren,
All right, and that's it.
and we're
That's the
doing
game.
things very fast here. Yeah.
So
So
he
we'll
plays
see if our
Imperial
players.
Recruiter. He can go get his Mana War, bounces Recruiter, play the Recruiter, go get Cavern Harpy, play that, bounce the Mana War, bounces Recruiter again. Now he can get every card in his deck. He does have to have. It does cost him 1 life each loop, but he's got Soul Warden, so he'll end up gaining a life each loop.
Yeah.
Plus, you can also just have Cavern Harpy bounce itself. So
So it looks like Greg
Greg
is
goes to
gonna.
infinite life.
He's kind of explaining right now to David, "Hey, I'm gonna here's what I'm going to do." Basically, what Hockey just walked us through, and uh, then yeah,
Here's
that's probably the
the
magic carry we got.
Mega Carry says each player loses 1 life, so Greg gains 1 billion and then deals 20 to each of their domes.
Yeah,
That's it. Ah, he'll play his creature at instant
David.
speed.
Hey, you got to get it while you can. Yeah, I
It's
mean,
pretty
there
brutal in
we
that
were.
the fire would have stopped this combo here.
Yeah,
He could fire it
I
off right
mean,
away and go for stopping the Mana War trigger. Usually it's correct to respond to the Cavern Harpy coming down, but double stone raining your opponent for 2 mana actually just lost him the game,
I know.
which is
Uh,
absolutely brutal.
you heard it here first. Bolting the birds. Apparently, no longer, no longer the play. So,
I mean,
um,
it's still definitely the play, but sometimes you have to just ask yourself, if I bolt these 2 birds, how much mana does he have next turn? And if it's still 4, do something else.
4 mana magic number for Alluren. So that is going to be our first match. I mean, the decks got to do what they wanted to do. The first game was a little bit anemic, but then each deck kind of got to show off its thing, and we got to see a bunch of you know otherwise very innocuous kind of lame creatures just swoop in and kick some butt.
I mean, it's not like there's a big long list of good creatures. Um, it was nice to see David's deck actually do the thing. It's
Yeah,
extremely rude. It's the rudest deck I've ever seen.
it's rude, but it's cool.
No, you don't get the it's even more rude than Stone Rain.
Really is. It's one thing. I mean, uh, and you get to draw a card. I mean, we're both blue players. Like, add draw a card to
Yeah.
to a card, and I mean that instantly upgrades it in my book.
With Stone Rain, you can get to a point where you don't have any lands in your hand. You're like, oh, I guess this game's over. But this one, you're just holding a grip of lands. You've got them.
You have to sit there
You
and
just don't
stare
get to
at
put
them,
them in
knowing you
play.
can't play them. Yeah,
You can play
it is a different
spells.
kind of
Do you have any spells to cast with your no lands?
hockey. I think the problem is you need lands to cast those spells, and those lands are also still in your hand. So,
Yeah.
um,
I do you
I
like
our producer. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I'm just thinking that ho- of the opponents that David has beaten in this tournament, has he made them into bizarre players? Are they bizarre players now? Are they gonna pick up Dredge, play that in Vintage and Legacy? Like I'm done with mana. It has betrayed me.
And not doing
Although
anything
bizarre
for you.
wouldn't even have
So,
worked. You can play it.
oh God, yeah. So
Vintage
there's
technology,
just
everybody. Just
there's
make
just
sure
no
you
winning.
have
All right, that's it. I'm
3 mana before your opponent has their first turn. Fine.
that's one card.
Yeah.
Lotus sack for red in your upkeep.
Can you
Pause.
imagine? I'm gonna play a little
What
bit
do
of
you?
a Magic Online. And your opponent plays Black Lotus Turf Wound.
I'm gonna do it our next vintage event. Austin local players, you heard it here first.
Now
Chance for
you
Big
gotta
Stone
try
Runs
hard.
coming to
You
you.
gotta still be a tryhard until you qualify. Only let's
No,
see, Stu and can be lazy.
no,
We can't even look at the list because I haven't updated it. I'm the worst.
don't worry about it. It's nothing's happening. It's fine. Don't worry about it. But
I'll update it when I win this league with Alluren.
and hey, I'm here
Although
for it.
I think if I face Greg in the mirror, his deck is just better at being the Alluren deck. Like my deck's better at being a deck that doesn't crumble to not being able to cast Alluren, but his is better at just casting it.
That yeah, I mean, in the mirror. But
Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean,
You just take it out. What do you do?
I
I'm
that
gonna
is
gain a
kind of
million life in response. I have responses.
I mean, that would be
Win the
my
game.
concern. I tried to do that to you. Cast and learn. I cast
You
a
got
bull
to
rush
do it.
shapeshifter in response.
You got to do it in the first iteration of me trying to build an Alluren list.
Yeah.
That deck was really bad, but I played Alluren and I had like a couple like Wall of Blossoms that I was like, oh, hopefully we can draw it. And then like you let Alluren resolve, played 3 slivers, and then force willed my like creature,
I mean,
and then I
listen.
didn't want to play anymore. That was enough for
I had
me.
a game plan.
Yeah.
Good.
All right, guys. We'll see you in some amount of minutes. I'm thinking single digit. We'll see.
Single digit plus or
And
minus.
it's gonna be our stream host himself, Robert the Connolly, against classic, fabulous Romancing the Stones regular Jake Baltz with a deck featuring 88 cards in the main deck. Stay tuned.
we're back. Welcome back, everybody. It is time for banger number two of the night. We have producer Rob over here on the left, repping Mr. T, and then Jake with, as hockey previewed, a lovely 88 card special. Which, when hockey asked why there were 88 cards or if there was a reason why, Jake just started laughing and started counting his cards to make sure he had them all. So, you know, the world we
Jake
live
is
in.
a big fan of like I'm just gonna put all the cards that I like in a deck, and if all those cards are good, the deck should be good.
I mean,
And in middle
he's
school
not.
is a format where that strategy could actually work out for you.
Yeah, and well, I mean, here's the thing too. We have a zombie infestation. So if we draw the cards that are bad in some instance, we just turn them into a zombie. So like we've got everything covered,
Well, half a zombie.
right? um, yeah. So Jake is on an
He's
88
got
card
fourth
special.
squeeze,
Like I
got some
said,
things to
there's
discard.
yeah. I mean, we've got Roar of the Worms. Yeah, we've. I mean, it seems like a like you said, just fun Jake pile of cards that Jake likes. And he's kind of setting himself up for you know I mean, kind of everything that may pop up in middle school, which uh, we've
It's a
between
variation on another deck that he's played. Like he's got a lot of powerful things. He's got Zombie Infestation. He's got four Firestorm. He's got Therapy. He's got Mock Time. He's got Plow and Land Tax. And then he's got some tutors. And then I think the big one in this deck that we have not really seen before is Devastating Dreams. Devastating Dreams,
sitting
you discard
dreams.
X cards at random to cast it, and then it deals X damage to each creature, and each player like sacrifices X lands. So if you've got a zombie infestation and your opponent has, I don't know, not that, you probably gonna win. It's an Armageddon and a
I think
Wrath in
so.
one.
Yeah, we're doing a lot of stuff. Rob, on the other hand, I mean, I never want to say anyone's doing anything fair per se, but Rob is playing. I don't know how what I want to call this. I mean, it's like a it's like a Panza
It's mono
seismic
red
assault
control,
thing.
man. It's mono
I,
red control. It's done well for Rob. I'm gonna blow up your land so you
Robin red
can't
cards
execute
go
your
together.
plan. I'm gonna cast some red guys, mostly kill creatures, and then like, there's some black vice in here. He's trying to
For
kill
really
your
sure.
guys
A
and
little classic
and
there.
and mess with your mana.
Yeah. I mean, the downside is he's unlike our first match. We're actually destroying lands. We're not just telling our opponent they can't play lands. So, um, but we're working our way through mulligans here. It looks like Rob is probably keeping the 7. I missed it. Jake may be going down to 6 here, but
Surprise, surprise. The person with the deck with 88 cards needs to mulligan. No one could have seen this
88
coming.
cards. You should always draw a perfect hand. I am surprised. I will say should always be a perfect mix of land and spells. You have so many of them.
I don't even.
Um,
I haven't actually
I
counted his
with the
lands. Like, does he just have a regular amount of lands?
I think he's playing closer to like 30 some 30 to 40ish
Five,
lands
six,
somewhere around
seven.
there. I thought there were like 20 planes in there or something like that. I could have that wrong. But
Yeah, there's some number of planes that don't make any sense. It looks like he's got like 30 lands.
yeah. So we're figuring out what to put back here. I mean, this is I know we were kind of poking fun at like, okay, Jake's just got this kind of like wild do a bazillion things. A lot of really sweet cards in here, but how do we think this plays out? Because I mean, you mentioned right, Rob has a lot of stuff that normally would be like zap all your creatures. Uh, most of that we can
Yeah.
just put at the face, but um,
I mean, I really
does
think Jake is in a position where like if his hand is, black mana, other mana, zombie infestation, and like a squee, you just keep that
yeah,
and you're going to win the game. Like he can't stone rain you
yeah.
before you play your
Anything
second land.
else? anything else Rob's game
And they
plan
have
is
seen each
able to
other's
be
deck
just a little
lists
more direct.
because Rob gets to see everyone's deck lists. So Rob sent his to Jake earlier in the week.
Only fair. Little direct action. We could see what Rob's working with here.
Off of the Undiscovered Paradise, which does not seem like a
Yeah.
card you want to have against Rob's Ank of Mishra Black Vice deck, but so he's got 3 lands, one of which is a mainland,
No.
one of which is a wasteland, and then the 2 cards I was talking about plus a slice and dice. Jake doesn't really care about a slice and dice. Like a little bit.
Don't care about. Yeah. I mean, we mulliganed. The playing the Undiscovered Paradise. I'm kind of curious what Jake's like land situation is over there because I
Eh, It seems bad.
we're
I
probably
have to
counting on
imagine
this
it's bad.
Undiscovered Paradise, which is just yeah. I mean, we're just gonna lose our Undiscovered Paradise here, which may really
I
put us in
think
a bad spot.
he didn't have another land to play. And so I think he's like, I want to play Duress so that I can draw a card off my Rexia Furnace here, which I think is exactly what's happening. Rob has played his Wasteland and taken out the Undiscovered Paradise, which makes Jake's play just work perfectly, assuming he's low on lands, like we thought. If he was up to something else, um, then who knows?
Just kind of plays. I mean, his hand's pretty face up. Turns his lava man sideways and says go. So, dude, Jake, the City of Brass, mm, always a little painful, and just a pass. So, Dick may be in a little bit of a tough spot here. We'll see. Again, I mean, this is like he has so many powerful things that he gets to put into this deck. But if you, I mean, even more so than most decks, if you draw the wrong half to an extreme, you're in a pretty poor spot pretty quickly,
Yeah,
especially
I'm really surprised
against
he's not
Rob.
cashed in this Furnace. Like he should know that Rob doesn't care about that.
Yeah. Uh, okay.
All right, we're gonna just
Hard casting is
play a squee
squee.
off of Undiscovered Paradise, City of Brass Island
I've seen some things in
with
my
one
day.
card in hand.
Yeah,
It
looks like
definitely
one
seems like
card in
Jake kept
hand.
like I have some mana and nothing else hand, which I think is actually like
Kind of feeling that way.
relatively reasonable in this format.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I would feel as good about it against a deck like Rob's, where I know he can, I may not have as much time uh, to kind of get somewhere, but uh,
I think you actually have if you can make your land drops, like you have plenty of time against Rob. Like you don't have infinite time. He's still playing like red deck, red cards, but
yeah,
he's not playing Sly. Like he's got
true.
8
I guess it's not.
Stone Rains instead of threats.
Yeah, no, that's very fair. Looks like we
And then yeah, if you can empty your hand, the black vices don't do anything. Which is why you
dreamed
shouldn't play that
past.
card. That's my hot take for this week. Black Vice is a bad magic card, and you shouldn't play it.
Black Vice confirmed terrible. All right, so no one registered black. Oh, we're getting Stone Rain now.
It's happening. Kill your city.
Yep. So it begins.
If he doesn't cash in this furnace, I'm gonna be upset because I know when I ask him about it later, he'll be like, "Oh yeah, I guess I should have done that."
Yeah. Okay. So
No, I mean he can target his own card, but there has
nope,
to be a
not
card.
yet. You got for us here, Jake, for a blue. Uh,
What is
okay.
this?
Chromatic. They can
A chromatic sphere, which he can turn
chromatic
into another
sphere,
card and make some mana. I don't
and
even
I
see
will
these
say
in his
this
deck list.
undiscovered paradise. Uh,
Oh, there they are.
They are hiding off to the yeah, they're, like, in the 3rd row in that image. I will say this is having this undiscovered paradise is it seems like our really only other land. We obviously wouldn't be I don't think we'd be playing it if we didn't have another one, like, with an Ankh. Really sucks here. I mean,
Yeah. I'm coming for 2. Jake will block with Squee. Gedo Encampment, I think, is extremely underplayed in this format. Like, 2-1 first strike is relatively large.
it's pretty ball it's yeah, it's big. Squee back, but, I mean, last time we had to take a damage to from our city, which ended up getting wastelanded or stone rained, sorry, to the cast, and I think
Well,
we
it was
maybe had a
worse than that
land
because he
here.
also tapped his paradise. He's taken 3 for casting that Squee before. He would taken less damage just to get hit.
Yeah.
All right, here's
Another
another chromatic sphere. I,
we need to start doing
uh,
something with these eggs and this
I mean,
furnace.
those
We
are
need
just
like
there
if
as fixing. Like he needs to cash him in for a card.
yeah,
Shoot you in the
I'm
face.
gonna yep, shoot you in the face. What we're down to I think players are updating like till 12. Yeah. I mean,
Players don't put your cards into the play area the way that Rob is doing it right now, where they're all just in like a random location. His graveyard is hidden behind his deck. His exile zone is attacking. Don't do this.
Stone we lied. Stone Rain is actually the better you get no lands. Not only does it destroy land, it gets to turn sideways. Um Yeah, Jake's getting punched in the face again. See, there again, like I know it sucks with that undiscovered paradise. I would have been filtering that through
Yeah,
end of
I'm
turn.
drawing 3 cards.
We're not doing it. Yeah.
Like you can't like I don't know. I guess I understand waiting here a little bit, but I think the furnace should have gone a long
I
time
mean
ago
if
because it doesn't have any text,
yeah.
and we're tapping it anyway.
I because I have to imagine we were in a situation where the furnace versus Lavamancer was not the game that we were
There it
worried about
is.
playing. Oh, we're gonna
The
devastating dreams.
dreams.
Okay.
Jake will discard what 5 cards at random
5.
to wipe
Okay.
everyone's board completely. He's
Oh,
discarded.
we're talking
I
lost.
see an intuition, a ray of revelation, and a squeak, like another land.
At the
Jake's at
same time,
7.
like, that saved us. He's at 7, and, like,
Yeah, against with an
we're gonna
Ankh of
have to
Mishra
start
in
playing a
play.
few lands in order to get yeah.
Yeah, so like, I mean, he's
Uh,
got he needs to find like Mox Diamond and 2 lands.
yeah, well, I mean, we just got bolted, and
Yeah,
so
this game's over. You can't. Jake did nothing for too long. It
it
doesn't seem like digging 1 card deeper earlier would have helped, but I think you still have to do it. Played a
yeah,
colorless land and is dead on board.
uh, oh, Rob picks that one up. Despite the devastating dreams, I would say pretty convincingly. I think again, I think Jake obviously mulliganing in a deck like this, never great. No one ever loves
Yeah,
to mulligan, but it probably put him in an awkward position of like you said, like I've got lands and maybe 1 or 2 things that I can
yeah.
cantrip with, and I just got to try to like what are you going to 5 for right in a deck like this? So out of the sideboard, I think Jake's got looks like we've got an ivory tower, which I'm not upset
He's got
about.
no. He has
Um,
4 ivory towers
yeah,
and
yes,
2
yes,
divine
4 ivory
offerings
towers. Yeah,
and 3 disenchants. Jake's deck could basically turn into a destroy Rob's threats deck.
which I mean, I wouldn't fault him for going that route. I definitely, uh,
I mean, he's got the ivory towers, but how is he ever having enough cards in hand
Land
outside of
tax.
land tax.
Oh, outside of land tax. You knew exactly where I was going with that. Well, yeah, I don't really have a lot of answers for you there.
But Jake can cut his 4 Phyrexian Furnace, his Coffin Purge, and his Razor Revelation for all sorts of cards in his sideboard, everything that we mentioned.
Um, yeah, I mean his board plan seems relatively straightforward. Rob has a lot of probably the usual suspects that you would expect for a deck like this. Kind of just cover a wide range of things: some anarchies, curse totems, overload, Phyrexian Furnace, Pyroclasms, some Red Blasts, which if you are familiar with Rob on Twitter, he is Red Blast on Twitter.
He is
Has
the
a
Red
lot of really
Blast.
great collections of Red Blasts. Yeah, and Sulfuric Vortexes, which um, Sulfuric Vortex matches up pretty well
I
against
think
some of
that's
your
the only card
towers.
you
So
want. You cut your 2 Slice and Dice, bring in your 2 Sulfuric Vortex, and everything else stays the same. All his burn goes
I
face.
would absolutely agree.
Like his, and none of his
Yeah,
other
we
things
tried to
have
do what we
any.
did last game a little faster.
All right, we'll see if Jake gets to keep a hand.
He gets to keep a hand. Trying to see if there's anything else that Rob takes out. Uh,
I mean, I feel
there's
like
just the only thing I could
fundamentally
think of was go ahead,
it's
go ahead.
Jake's deck goldfishing against Rob. Like that's the matchup we're playing.
Yeah,
If Jake's deck performs before Rob kills him, then he should be off to the races. But I don't know, he does sort of struggle with closing the game. Like his only way to close the game is like you concede to Devastating Dreams or like Zombie Infestation and Roar of the Worm. Okay, he's got the Roars of the Worm. We forgot about those. He's got 3 of those. Like making a single 6/6 is a lot.
yeah. I mean, but I think that's the thing. He needs to get to a point where he can do that. He can pivot to that, either the worm or the zombies, and they're like actually overrunning the game, right? Like obviously it
Yeah,
was, the game was the game,
like
but like
just
that
just
last game
making
was
a
not one where
zombie
like
is obviously not gonna do it.
exactly. Yeah. And I mean I know
I
that's kind
I
of a
think a
given,
six
but
six would set Rob back far enough as to be very very impactful in the game, unless it comes so late that Jake is just dead to burn already. But that's what happens when you
yeah.
play against Magic's coolest color.
Okay. Um yeah.
It's like Magic's
So
narrowest color
players are
because
getting shuffled up
every
here.
every limited environment is like all the red slots are just like already we already know what they have to be. They have to be a burn spell that costs this much mana.
You gotta get that exchange rate on your burn spells. Um so but I mean, I don't know. I will say I do like Rob's deck here. There's been a couple other red decks in previous leagues where players have taken. I mean, some have been just basically a little bit different versions of Burn or Sly, but I like Rob kind of doing something a little bit different. It's not
Oh
playing.
yeah, yeah. I
I
mean, I think
wouldn't
his
call it
deck
like a
is
big
like
red deck, but it's just
it.
different.
It, it has a very cohesive plan. Like I have a plan, and it's to put the squeeze on you via your lands, and then not and then start putting the squeeze on your life total, like make you pay life for lands, slow you down, kill some creatures. It's like a red prison deck. I called it a red control deck, but it's plays more like a prison deck, I think. Lands go
Yeah,
from Jake.
I like that.
No
Yeah,
land tax. Could have
no
it,
land
just
tax, no
like
every
sandbag it.
towers.
Mog Fanatic. There
Yep.
it
All
is.
right, turn two zombie infestation. Yeah.
Now his hand just needs to be like 4 squeeze, and he's good to go.
Yeah. Or squeeze or get a roar of the worm out into the yard pretty quickly.
I guess Rob also probably brought his 2 Phyrexian Furnaces into his deck.
Yeah, that was the one thing when we were talking through sideboards that I paused on. Of, I mean, again, players saw each other's lists, just for fairness. Of like, that there's a lot of just graveyard stuff going on, um, even if
That's,
for
like,
some reason
basically
they
all
had
that's going on.
lists. Well, yeah, but that's what I'm saying, right? Like the furnaces
Yeah.
they do a lot more, whereas Jake, that was something where like, yeah, you lose the furnaces, right? So
Yeah, yeah, Jake's just cycling, though, or at least he should have been. Here's Rob's Wasteland. No, I think it's really important that there's a deck that makes people afraid for their mana base.
Mhm.
It's like one of the reasons I'm not a big fan of like formats that don't have Wasteland because it's like someone's like, "Oh, I'll just play like 4 colors. It's fine."
Yeah, can't be getting away with those greedy mana bases. You got to punish people a little bit. Like I would agree. There needs to be some constraints, some actual deck building constraints.
Yeah, I like it when someone is
Keeps things
afraid
interesting.
of playing a 3 drop in their deck. That's what I want. That's
Yeah.
the world I want to live in.
So let's see here. So we're letting him untap with the City of Brass. We're just keeping Wasteland up, and we also didn't make a zombie either to trade with the Mog Fanatic or just end of turn. So I'm curious what, I mean, obviously we all are curious what Jake has in his hand that we are going to open. We're keeping the hang, I assume, because we can get a zombie infestation on the board early. And I would assume in order to get that engine going, but it doesn't seem like that's what we're doing. So I don't know if we're like zombie infestation, we're going to like intuition, some squeeze or something like that to
Like
start
intuition
to get
here
that
is
the
is
chain
exactly
going.
what Jake wants to be doing. Um,
Yeah. See, so we take another hit from the Mog Fanatic, pass the turn. I mean, this is three. I would be very surprised if we don't see an intuition here.
there it is.
Ah, it's
I mean,
like
with Rob has
it's like
absolutely zero way to remove a zombie infestation. His only way of dealing with this at all is like getting the squeeze with his 2 furnaces. So I think like
so
this puts Jake in a good position, like just intuition for 3 squeeze. Probably make a zombie immediately and like start getting in there.
yeah. I want to start trying to close the door. I mean, Rob is what, seemingly stuck on two lands. Assumingly does not have any of his.
Two squee
Okay,
and
so two squeeze
roar.
and a roar.
Not sure I like
No,
the roar here with the wasteland.
but I mean, we may also be saying like, okay, you've passed a couple times now. You're stuck on two lands. You know, what's better? Which one of us gets hurt more by that wasteland at this point, in theory? We've made a zombie. Looked like we also pitched with the squee, pitched a Riftstone portal. So our lands will now tap for green or white.
Unfortunately, city
Which
still hurts you.
it does. It does. But this opens up Jake's mana base with any other lands he may have to be able to cast that worm a lot easier.
Yeah.
Flashback the
Yeah.
roar. Don't forget our squeeze. Oh, we forgot our squeeze.
It's fine. We
So
don't need
players, this
those.
is definitely no, they are not part of the game plan. Um, I mean, we may have just gotten excited. We're just going to flash back this roar of the worm here. So now we got yep, get in there with the zombie. But yeah, definitely want to remember our squeeze here so we can just kind of
I'm
close the door a little bit faster, make sure we're not
I'm
giving
really
up any
surprised
value.
that
Because I
Rob
mean, it would suck
let
right
him
now.
have the roar. Like I know he's like missed the land drop, but how are you beating this?
I don't think we are. We're incinerating. Maybe, I
Considering your
mean, we're not.
face,
Yeah,
you go to a
Rob's going to try to
12.
race.
I mean, he's got a Lavamancer in play.
More not red mana. That kind of sucks. I mean, this is the downside for Rob is like, yes, he can start throwing a lot of bolts, but right now we're priced into a bolt.
Yeah.
And the upside is
It's
the
not having red
roar.
mana here is just so awkward.
It's very awkward, and we're gonna use it here for second Lava Mancer.
Another Lava Mancer. All right, one of these Lava Mancers is just gonna block.
Yeah. I mean, that is the nice thing for Rob is that the roar token, it's just a 6/6 worm. And by
Yeah,
just, I mean
no
it doesn't have
trample.
trample, right? So
And I think, they used to not do that because how would the players remember that it had an ability?
you know, simpler times. Uh we did remember to get our squeeze out of the yard this time. We're
Yes.
gonna turn our stuff sideways.
So Jake
And
has at least two
then
extra, maybe three extra cards in his hand. So like he could just go full blast in Rob's end step, and I don't see why he wouldn't. Like,
yeah. I mean, there's nothing that Rob is gonna I can't imagine there's anything Rob's gonna do that is gonna stop us from doing that. Therapy
like
just to
Rob
see
could
what's
have
going on.
Pyroclasm, I think, but okay, deal.
Yeah, I mean, if you pyroclasm your lava mancers away and just leave me with a 6/6, I'm totally cool with that. I take that exchange every single day of the week. And then I just make, you know, some zombies at the end of your turn again. So I think
I'm surprised he
Jake
jumped
is
with the
currently
Fnatic. I don't think there's a world where
so
he's activating two Lava Mancers in the same turn.
so Jake named Sulfuric Vortex here.
And
Probably
got it.
just oh yeah. It was a good name. So we can see Rob did bring in an overload from his sideboard. I'm curious because he has three in his board, so I'm curious if he brought all of them in.
This is the
Um,
artifact removal?
yeah, it's so for what one red you can destroy an artifact that's CMC two or less, and you can kick it.
Yeah, so
Um,
he has brought these in to shoot Mox Diamonds
yeah,
and I guess the Ivory Towers.
sense. I mean,
It seems a little
like
sus.
I can get it though if he feels that we said the slice and dices, but if he feels that some of the other things in his deck are just like not um they're like equally or just like not impactful enough for what he thinks he's going to lose to, you know. Like we said, the sulfuric vortexes feel pretty obvious, but he may just feel like, oh, maybe I'm not going to sit here and try to play the waiting game and set up a seismic assault or something like that. I'm not saying that's what he did, but I mean, you know,
Yeah, I mean, I
this
can
is
see that, but
Rob
it's
is
like
the
he
red
needs to bring in
master.
his two Graveyard Hate. He needs the Sulfuric Vortexes. That's four. He's gonna have a lot of other stuff to take out.
Yeah.
Most of his cards kind
That's
of
what I
do
was
the
trying to
same
say. I don't know
thing.
if he just yeah. That's what I was saying. I don't know if he just like it's like I'll trim one or two here, something or another. But Jake, as we expected, makes some more zombies end of turn and is just gonna keep turning things sideways.
We
Um
are sort of evaluating
uh
Rob's plan in terms of like a non-prison deck, a normal Magic deck. In a prison deck, I
true.
want Overload makes a lot more sense because it's all about removing the avenues that your opponent has.
So we're getting some blocking going on. Some blocking, some shooting. Is that factory
I don't know. I was wondering the same thing.
summoning sick?
It it's hard to keep track of the turns when you're attempting, possibly in vain, to be entertaining. We're just supposed to be commentating on the match. Why would we remember what turn it is? Yeah.
So Rob did confirm that yeah, they have gone through a turn cycle with the factory, and that was why he didn't block with the last turn. So To Hockey's point, we were too busy trying to be funny, failing at that and failing at keeping track of what was going on in the board state. So, um, viewers, we apologize. But
Even
Rob
though
is on
I
it.
hinted that we were failing at it, it still hurt to hear you say it. Like
No,
I'm
I mean, we just got to be honest. Honesty is the best policy, right? Um, so, I mean, Jake's just going to keep doing his thing here. There's really no reason to deviate from the game plan.
yeah.
We've
I
kind of
mean, I
got
think if
Rob.
anything, he should
Rob
be
has to
more
respond
aggressive.
now.
Like
Yeah.
Jake Jake's sort of playing afraid, and I just feel like he never looked at Rob's deck list. I think that's what's happening. Like cash this chromatic sphere in immediately.
Yeah.
Like, you could get anything. You could have gotten a firestorm. That would be absurd. Kill Rob's blockers.
Just pondering. I mean, he's still at 14 for now, but I mean, he's pretty quickly going to run out of guys to throw in front of all these zombies and the worms. So, um, yeah, we're just entering the scoop phase. we're
Yeah,
we're working towards a full house of onks and pillages, I think. So, yeah, I mean, Jake, like you said,
that's
Jake
what
does
happens.
what the deck wants to do, just establishes the zombie infestation, goes in and just punches
Yeah.
Rob's face in, a little faster than
Uh,
Rob can cast
like
things. And
Jake's
to be
executing
fair,
his
like you
plan,
said,
and Rob's deck is made of cards that don't do anything if your opponent's already executing their plan.
yeah,
Like there's a
I mean,
reason
and
we
it's
don't see
certainly
land or stone rain in competitive Magic.
true. Are you saying that Romancing the Stones middle school webcam leagues are not competitive Magic hockey?
I'm saying that middle school is not currently one of the uh, official formats of Magic.
Cannot
Like
argue with you there.
middle school is a different beast. It's a lot slower, and it's just sort of interesting, like to make a deck that really is predicated on the idea that you're ahead,
Yeah.
um, and that I'm not a fan, but I'm very risk averse when it comes to deck building. Whereas Jake is probably the opposite of that. Jake is like, why would I not just put a really strong card in my deck that costs 8 mana? I could probably get to 8 mana. Those are things he's actually said to me. Only it was 10 mana. Anyway, um, like, and so yeah, I think Jake's deck is going to be better at coming from behind. He can have an explosive play with Zombie Infestation, with Firestorm. Just making a 6/6 is good. He's got ways to deal with Rob's stuff. I think better than Rob can deal with Jake's stuff.
I mean, classic red can't isn't going to be able to deal with the zombie infestation, right? Um,
Yeah,
it looks
but
like
the
Rob
Stone
may have
Rain deck is
gone.
on the play here.
It is on the play. Obviously something from Rob's hand when we saw it at the end of the game, it looked like his draws didn't really come together, but not having red mana or just having a mountain was
We
certainly
did
not
see his hand, and
helpful.
it was like two Ank of Mishra, two Pillage, a
Right. Well,
bunch of
that's my
cards
point.
that aren't
Like,
good when you're behind.
yeah, but I was saying what I was getting at was that it also didn't help. Like he was not drawing good cards. Again,
Yeah,
partially because he was behind, but also, he didn't have red mana, so it wasn't even like he could just rip a string of bolts. He was just
right.
priced into basically play a turn. So it looked like Rob did probably go back to his sideboard as well. So I'm curious if again there were maybe I would be curious what he maybe tweaked. I don't think Rob is the type of player who's going to try to do the fake re-sideboard thing of shuffle my sideboard in and take the same 15 cards out. But we may have, tweaked the number of overloads or something like that we had, and maybe we just brought in like one. Maybe we brought one or two. Maybe we brought the full set in or something. But again,
Yeah, it
I'm
depends on how
like you said before.
it depends on how pessimistic
What is
he
he
is
taking
about
out?
his chance of winning. And I don't think Rob has
Mhm.
ever been pessimistic about his chance of winning with a red deck. Uh, but if he
Yeah.
were, then bringing, having all the overloads makes sense because it's like the way I win is I overload his Mox Diamond and then Stone Rain him and the game's over.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I don't know, uh it is tough though. Like you're bringing an
Mountain
overload
Fanatic.
For Mox Diamond. I don't know. The more I'm looking at it, like it makes
Well, there's
sense,
the
but
Ivory
like,
Towers too, but I feel
yeah.
like Jake's Ivory Towers aren't actually live. I don't think they actually function. Oh, oh,
Oh, here's the here we go. It's time.
discard my Rainbow Land to my Rainbow Artifact. Oh
Uh,
my, ladies and gentlemen, no land, no land for
there's
the turn. What could
land
go
for the
wrong?
turn. Now is Rob gonna be
Mountain double
casting overload and
overload.
be a spoiler maker? Oh please.
Oh my god. Oh,
Oh
oh, there's
no.
one. Oh, Rob, no.
Don't do it.
No, Rob.
Uh,
Take the Mox Diamond.
take the Mox
You're
Diamond.
playing a Stone Rain deck. Like, sure, him gaining life sucks, but you could just draw a Black Vice. It's fine.
I don't
He
even know
has no lands in hand.
how many yeah. Plus you had at
I'm
least
calling. This is a
another
punt.
turn,
This is a
right?
punt right here. That's a punt.
The
Maybe
Ivory Tower
Rob
was
just
even
didn't.
live
He
at that
wanted to
point
get to
either.
play more Magic this week, and so he's like, I'm not gonna end it right here. It's a commander
He's
game
a
after
gentleman.
all.
Yeah. So we're careful studying. Uh, we may be we may just be
Careful
looking for
setting.
some mana here, folks.
We've put it in our graveyard already, so our graveyard's in the wrong order. It's fine. Horus, yeah. Like Jake's turn is pass without if he blows as a Mox Diamond. He discarded another careful study and a disenchant.
Rob, what do we got here?
Oh, look at that
Wasteland against
wasteland.
Basic Forest.
A lot of
Yeah.
text. You know he said to himself in his head, I'll get rid of the ivory tower because I've got this wasteland to deal with this mana.
100%.
Wasteland being famously a card that's bad at multiples.
I mean, I get where Rob was going with the Ivory Tower, but I haven't been keeping track. I don't think that the Ivory Towers would have been on. Maybe this
It
turn it would
doesn't
be
matter if
turned
they're
on.
on if your opponent has no permanents in play. like like every
Turn
time your
sideways.
opponent has no permanents in play after the turn 2, like an angel gets its wings. Like your stock goes up in uh whatever afterlife you believe in.
uh, so we're swordsing a fanatic, but I think we already took damage from it in combat. We're just clicking life totals right
Yeah,
now.
unclear.
The point is, Rob is doing red deck things. 2 mana. We're probably gonna, yeah, we're playing an Ankh. So, I mean, man, that Mox
God, that Ankh
Diamond.
would be so good if Jake didn't have a Mox Diamond in play.
I was just thinking the
I'm
same
up. I'm
thing.
legitimately upset about this.
You should write into the producer. Let him know to cancel the stream from now on. Another Ivory
Bolt the bird,
Tower.
everybody. Bolt the bird. This bird is. I mean, I guess it also makes every color mana, but bolt it.
Saw what happened last match though when we bolted 2 birds, and our opponent untapped and killed us. I do agree with you though. I think
Yeah, but Jake
Stone Raining
isn't
was the right
on
move there.
Alluren.
And a
Seismic
seismic
assault,
assault.
everybody.
So
Seismic assault in Rob's deck is like just like the designers intended, just the most fair. Like, you might want an extra land to be a shock. Like, it's fine. He has no way of,
and
of
hey, it makes
breaking this at all.
no. Just assuming that, like, this way every card that I draw is good. Either I cast the spell or I throw this extra land at my opponent's face.
Womp womp. No land discard in response either. So got a spell. It's got to be a stone rain, right? Like you've got a stone rain your opponent. Like look at Jake. Look at his ivory tower. He doesn't do anything.
That's
He's
what I was
got
saying.
a
I think,
card.
well, because the turn that he cast it, he was down to 4 cards, I think, at that point anyway.
Yeah,
So,
because he went Mox Diamond Ivory Tower. Like you're never
yeah,
gaining life off this.
got a furnace,
That's what I'm saying about it's an
gained yet
optimistic
again.
deck design. I'm gonna have an ivory tower because I'm gonna have a bunch of squeeze in my hand, or I'm gonna have a bunch of basic lands from land tax in my hand.
Ooh, Sulfuric
Whereas he could just
Vortex.
play the green white gain 7 card instead,
Oh, oh, Jake.
or renewed faith, which
Yep,
is even better.
take. Jake, I don't know how many cards he had in hand, but either way, at his beginning of his upkeep, instead of gaining any life potentially from Ivory Tower, we instead took damage from Sulfuric Vortex. And I mean,
Yeah,
we're at 8. I I think we're going to be seeing the end of this match
I'm
here in short
I'm
order.
even more upset that Rob's gonna win anyway.
No justice in the world, is there, hockey?
There's a lot of lessons from this match, you guys. Lesson number one: your deck should be 60 cards. In middle school, it should actually be 61 because that's the spirit. But don't put 27 extra cards in your deck.
Oh,
And
and we
lesson
got
two:
pillaged.
is he gonna do it? Is he gonna blow up the Mox Simon? Oh, Divine Offering your Ankh, gain 0.
Yeah,
Pillage is just gone forever.
I guess.
Okay, he put the Mox Simon in the
Not
graveyard.
bad.
Yeah, and the other lesson is if you're playing a Stone Rain deck, um, Stone Rain them
Do
for
what
1
your
mana.
deck do what your deck is trying to do. To be fair though, I mean Rob's game plan is obviously come together. I think the way Jake's opening either way, it was kind of you know, if you have
Yeah,
a
I
thing
mean,
that
I don't know.
interacts, you'll
I
just
just think
lose.
I don't think Jake's deck has executed it all, and I think
Yeah.
he would have lost against anything, which is
He needs to do
honestly
that game what he did game
50% of
2.
middle school games is one person's deck doesn't execute. And I don't know, those end up being a lot. Those can be an interesting game because often your deck also doesn't execute. So you have two players just going, attack you with Grim Lavamancer. Like, play my third bird. Play survival. I have no cards in hand. Like that kind of thing. It's fun. It's a great format. I do mean that.
No, you get to put the cards in your deck, you get to play the cards to some degree of success. So we got Wastelanded, we swords the Mog, but I mean Jake is on a 2-turn clock with Rob doing literally nothing. So I think Rob is
Yeah.
literally just gonna pass the turn.
I don't think you're going to win with no board position at 4. I mean, you could draw a
At 4,
disenchant.
no
He's
ability to gain
discarded 2 of
life.
them. Yep.
Yep, and that is all she wrote. So Rob's gonna take it down in 3 here. Again,
Mono red
we got to
prison
see a little bit
control strikes again.
as it tend to do, but no, we got 2 really interesting matches tonight. We get to see some fun decks, which is I think that's like we were saying, that's one of the best parts about middle school. You can just play really funky things. Sometimes They do incredible things.
Yeah.
Sometimes they don't do so incredible things, but um, I'm excited, for this last little bit of the league. Hopefully, y'all have been enjoying the stream so far. And yeah, what do you think about
Yeah,
tonight, though, Hockey?
the this league is the Japanese invasion. They are cleaning up the top tables.
They are. Our Japanese players are crushing. Variety of decks too, which is always sort of fun. I haven't noticed it as much with middle school. I think we see it a lot more in vintage, but it's just kind of cool seeing how different regions and pockets of players tend to like innovate within a format. Um,
Yeah,
so
apparently, like a lot of them are trying out Doomsday in middle school, and it has been explained to me how it wins, and I still don't understand what the pile is ever. Like, there's
oh
burning wishes and LEDs and ill-gotten gains, but it's like you need like 8 cards. Like, how are you
yeah, I mean it's just like
winning?
the old Iggy. It's kind of like Iggy Pop decks of old and stuff like that. I'm not gonna lie, when I saw some of those lists getting posted, I immediately started having flashbacks to when I started playing like Legacy back in the day and Iggy Pop. Oh man, just a special place in my
I've played
heart.
ill-gotten
So
gains. I
yeah,
have returned 3 silences to my hands with an ill-gotten gains to beat an enchantress player. I have done that.
I mean, just inject it
It's a
straight
good
into our
time.
veins. Yeah, that's what we're
Yeah.
here for. So awesome. Well, Hockey, you take us out. This was another fun week. It was great to see it. Great to catch up. Get to chit chat over some Magic matches, and sounds like you're having a much better league than I am. So hopefully we'll
Yeah,
see
guys,
you.
play Alluren. It's good, but don't don't play it the way the pre-modern players make it. They don't have recruiter. Um, but no, at middle school, my thesis on middle school is like in your opening hand, if you have 3 lands, keep. Doesn't matter what the other cards are, keep. Like you could throw back a 7 lander if you want, but just keep your hand. Just play Magic, and that's what's great about this format. Is like every other format. It's like I didn't execute for a single turn. I lost. Like I couldn't flip the script. These games don't have a script. Like it's the best format, other than vintage because anything could happen. Anything can happen in vintage, lightning quick, and anything can happen in middle school over a while. That's great. So we have
Is
one more week this league, and then I'll see you guys in the top 8, maybe.
no maybes. Confidence. We need confidence
I,
here at
I definitely
Hockey.
have to win, which I statistically I only have a 50% chance of doing. So uh, we'll see what happens.
I love the confidence. So we will plan on seeing you in top eight. So that way you can just mow down the top
Yeah.
eight. We can have an
I
excuse
am
to
I
get
am
you
the
back
middle
down here.
school world champion.
And you've done it once before. You can do it again. Show the people how you earned the trophy. And then you have an excuse to come visit us back down in Texas. So
Yeah, yeah. I obviously I want to qualify. I want to make it down there. I think it would also be fun to like I'm gonna come anyway, even if I don't qualify, and maybe I'll be doing the commentary.
I love it. Well, that's all we got tonight, folks. Thank you again, as always, for joining us. We'll be back next week as we wrap up the league. If you haven't, for some reason, I don't know why, make sure you join us in Discord, Twitter, so you can always join us for future events. If you're in the Austin area, you can swing on down for some of our vintage in person, or just come hang out. So give us a shout. We'd love to have you. And thanks for tuning in.